Good evening and welcome to round 11 of our PPG IndyCar World Series, coming to you tonight for the event of the Living Well / Provimi 200 from the Road America circuit over in America. And it's promising to be an interesting race, a lot of action, and with me in the booth to cover that action I have Ryan Walker. Good evening, Ryan.
Right, good evening, Jonathan. Good evening, everyone. Looking forward to this race. Always enjoyed this track, commentating, racing around it. It's one of those challenging tracks, and I think tonight with these Indy cars as well, it's going to be a big test, especially on the engines.
Oh, that's certainly, I think, as well going to be the case. A couple of very long straights, very high top speeds, quite a few revs being pulled, and to be fair, quite a few gear changes. Despite the relatively high speed corners around this place, you're still going down to second or third for most of them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those tracks as well that you don't really you don't really get a break around here just because pretty much there's always a corner coming up, but there is a couple of there is two or three straight long straights that you get a bit of a little break. But as soon as you start relaxing a little bit, there's a corner coming up, and you've got to get focused again.
Indeed. Speaking of the track itself, let's have a quick look. It's a 4-mile road circuit. And a sign outside turn 5 on this place, which is down at the bottom of the hill at the entrance to what I suppose we could call the horseshoe of this track shape. The the capital of speed in America, or something along those lines. 50 laps will be covered, and that will equal 200 miles, 200 grueling miles for the machinery mainly, and to some extent to our drivers as well. And I have to say, with me having had very little luck around this place, I am happy I'm in the booth to cover the action rather than having to drive. It is an acquired taste around this place.
Yeah, it's one of those tracks that either drivers like it or they don't seem to like it for some reason. They don't seem to do well around here. But it's it is a fun, challenging track and very rewarding when you get it right. But it's one of those tracks as well that if you get it wrong around here, especially through the fast kink on the run up to the Canada corner, it can bite you.
For sure. This will be a 200-mile race, so in terms of points, we will see 1 point for pole position and 1 point for most laps led, as per usual. And I think, unless anything changes in the last few seconds here, I think Richard Wilkes has taken the pole here tonight. The top 12 will score points, as per usual. 20 points to first, 16 to second, and then it drops 2 points for each position down to 7th place, and then it drops from 7th down to 12th by 1 point, from 6 points to 1. And in terms of the championship itself, we currently still have Richard Coxon leading the championship. He was not here last time out, and I don't think he is here for this one either. So the championship suddenly is entirely wide open. Coxon had quite the substantial lead ahead of last time out. David Yates is currently second in the championship, 9 points adrift at 121 points. Vadim Tachak is third on 113 points, so a further 6 points adrift. 8 points adrift. Anders Nilsson is currently fourth in the standings on 78 points, and Thiago Canola, who has been absent from the series for a while now, is still in the top 5 on 63 points. As the session on the server has just rolled over. But very quickly as well. Tire and fuel rules. Each driver has 4 sets of tires for this event, that being qualifying, warm-up and race. And each car is limited to 118 US gallons, or 447 roughly liters for the race itself. Which will mean we'll probably see a bit of fuel saving as well, because obviously if you're full chat all the way, then you might see an issue or two in terms of fuel as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if yeah, I think it wouldn't surprise me if you see some drivers started to fuel save at the start of the race or in the early stages of the race at least. Yeah, it's a good point that Jason White brought up in the YouTube chat, is saying that fuel economy will be a big story here, and maybe some people might try and fuel save and yeah, just save as much as possible and cut out the risk of maybe having to do a splash and dash at the end.
It's definitely a possibility for sure. Right here we can see down at turn 5 on screen at the moment, as the drivers are having a bit of a last minute information gathering. And down here at turn 5 is one of the places where I suppose one of the more televised accidents around this place took place, where Bobby Rahal, I think it was, in 95, 96, 97, had a bit of a moment, ended up off the road to the left of screen here, and about 10 seconds after, as track marshals were working to try and get out there and help him out, another car further down the field had issues as well and ended up mounting Rahal's car and trapping Rahal in the car itself. I think it was Rahal, or it was Rahal's teammate.
I believe it was Ray Hall's teammate. I believe it was Brian Herter.
Ryan Hurt it was, yes, thank you. I knew it was the Rahal team, I just completely blanked on which of them it was. So yeah, Brian Hurt, and I can't remember who it was that also had the accident, but if I remember correctly, they ended up red flagging the race to bring a crane out there to lift the car off. Or maybe not a crane, but like the crane of a track service vehicle had to be brought in to be able to get Hurt out of the car.
Yeah, I remember that. I believe the car it went over the top of him. It was I think it was one of the All American racers, the IndyCar team cars, I believe.
Mm.
Yeah, I can't remember the driver. I'm taking a guess that the driver was I think it was. I think it was PJ Jones, but I'm happy to be corrected on that.
I don't think it was Jones. I think he had like more of a quote unquote meaty name, but I could very well be wrong.
Uh, I know there was two other drivers that drove for the team. I believe one of them was a One Man Fangio the second, I think, and the other one was Alex Barron.
Alex Barron it was. Yes, it was. Why does my brain consider that a meaty name? So yeah, it was Herta and Baron in that whole incident, and on screen now is the entry to the kink, where about 10 years later, the other really big accident that was televised widely occurred, where Catherine Legg, upon heading towards the kink, had a malfunction of the rear wing, like an end plate or the whole like the plane section of the wing itself let go, and the car promptly didn't hold the rear end any longer. She turned in, the rear went, and quite the substantial off into the concrete on the outside. Thankfully, she walked away with only some small dinks and scrapes, but that was definitely one of the bigger accidents.
Yeah, I remember watching that on TV, and yeah, it was a big accident, and amazingly, Catherine Legg managed to walk away from that, and yeah, is still racing to this day.
Indeed. So with the drivers now out on track, Jon Team is the first to head through the final turn. So let's take a quick ride on board with him as he tackles this 4-mile road course. And quite an undulating one up the hill towards the start-finish line. Cross it now. Down the front straight, down towards turn 1. Long straight, quite a heavy braking zone down to 3rd gear for most cars, I reckon. Down through a little kink at 2, and then this is apparently an American turn 3. Quite difficult to get the power down there. Then down to the moraine sweep, this right curve, which is technically turn 4 on the track. And then down the hill for the hardest braking point on the track, because it's going downhill towards turn 5. Again, very slow, and then up the hill and a very tricky turning point over the crest. Car goes light, difficult to get it in. Then through a quick right-hander here, and down Hurry Downs, this downhill section. And then left here, which then opens up and goes into the carousel. Long sweeping right-hander, very easy to run wide. And you really want to stay as tight as possible to get a really good exit onto this back straight. Down towards the kink. Full shot in 5th gear for him. And then kettle bottoms, this left-hand sweep. And then hard braking for Canada corner. And then a bit of a tricky section up the hill, trying to get the power down and keep the car floating nice and steady. And then slight braking zone, and then into the final turn, a deceptive right-hander. Looks quite wide and open, but once you get into it, you realize, oh, it tightens on the exit. Out of it and back onto the front straight. And a 204, that ain't bad in race trim.
Yeah, it looked a really nice clean lap, and yeah, it's I was about to say, I think with full race fuel, I'm guessing that the race pace will be round about probably 204s, 205s, or maybe even the quick guys up at the front might be in the low 204s and 203s. As I say that, John Team goes across the line and does that. Oh, sorry, it's he already completed the lap, but it was Wilkes going across the line.
Indeed, and did a 205.4, so second off. Luciano Roja crosses the line for a 213, so he's taking it a bit nice and steady right now. Oh, and look at that, a 202.1! Wowee! Rob De Vries putting his new ride to very good use. The number 15 Valvoline car that I believe Jason White was driving previously in the series. I believe Jason is now in one of the Patrick Racing entries. And Anders Nilsson across at a 203, so it looks like even 202s is possible in early race trim if you really go for it, so that is quite impressive. I'm not sure they can make it on fuel like that though.
Yeah, I don't think they would be able to make it on fuel if they went full boost for the whole race. So yeah, going full boost for the whole race, yeah, you would probably need to like make a quick pit stop towards the end and take some fuel.
And indeed, Jason White has taken over one of the Patrick Racing entries. Francisco Amaral, Sibanjani is standing in the Bettenhausen Motorsports car. which is usually Peter Lavac's car, but Peter couldn't make it here tonight, but Sebagnoni trying to make good use of that car. It is a somewhat tricky car, but hopefully will be to his taste. Any ideas on who we should be? Oh, look at that, Matheus da Silva with the fastest lap in one of the Penske's at a 2:01.3 in this warm-up session. Any ideas on who you think will win this one?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a close race, but if I was to pick a winner, I think I would have to go with a. I've just got a feeling that someone might spring a surprise, and if they do, I'm going to go with someone like possibly Tim Hiller.
Ooh, that's an interesting choice. Tim Hiller, obviously our recent F1 1958 champion, driving for Ferrari in that series. In the NFW one-time entry for this race. And doing quite well, up in 6th at the moment. I reckon with this new ride, Rob de Vries could be an interesting one to keep an eye on as well. He's proven to be a very decent peddler, and with some better machinery, he could definitely be up there challenging. As the race session rolls over. And we'll just have to wait for a few moments for our drivers to take their position on the start-finish straight.
Yeah, it looks like the warm-up's been restarted because David Sabers left the game.
Idea. That's unfortunate. Well, let's do this for a moment then, while we wait for David to rejoin. Actually, let's do a quick reminder that next weekend, being broadcasted, will be the Internationales Arak Supersportrennen Kassel-Calden, which will take place at the airport, I think, track of Kassel-Calden. A track we made, we've not made from scratch, but we've taken a version of it and spruced it up a little bit and hopefully improved it, and hopefully all drivers will enjoy it, and you as watchers will, or viewers will enjoy it, because it will be broadcasted with Jason White in the booth once again for these DRM championship races. This will be round 9 out of 11 in that championship, Sunday, October 23rd, and Division 2 will start its race at 19:45 CEST, so roughly 15 minutes earlier than this race was scheduled to start. We are running just about 10 minutes behind at the moment, so that gives you an idea of when that race will start. It is a split race, so Division 2 will run first, Division 1 will run after. But back to the action we have tonight, where the drivers are just now starting to rejoin the start-finish straight. And on pole, we have Richard Wilkes in the Hamelgarn Racing entry. Second on the grid is Grant Biddall for Craco Racing. Second is Anders Nilsson for Vince Granatelli Racing, always up there and doing well in these races. Vadim Tachak, fourth for Acerclinth Racing, likewise always up there. Oh dear, it's a green flag straight away. So get ready, get set. Oh, and oh dear, we have a bit of an early start there, so a penalty for Wilkes, and I think for Nilsson as well with that. And it looks like we will have another quick restart, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I was a bit confused there when I saw it was a green when the green or the count the timer was counting down. I was a bit confused.
I'm afraid that is something that's been left after we did we did a long race just recently at trying to remember the track name. I am running blank. But either way, that'll be a very quick changing of the rules on the server, and we'll then very soon be out racing here tonight. Apologies for the slight niggly bits. Occasionally that happens, I'm afraid. But I suppose we could quickly have a look at the question for tonight, so you have something to think about during the race. The question for tonight will be: who holds the official fastest race lap record for Road America? Is it A. Alex Zanardi, B. Josef Newgarden, or C. Sebastian Bourdais? I will say I got lucky and guessed right on this. I had no idea. And I don't know if you have any ideas on this, Ryan, but
Uh,
it's a good question, isn't it?
yeah, it's a good question. It's not really one I've thought about. So I've yeah, I'll need to have a think about that.
That's good. Then we'll leave it to be thought about for a little bit. As we're back at the track at least. As we're just waiting for, I'd guess, a minute, maybe two, before we go to the race session once again.
But yeah, you were talking about predictions for tonight. Who do you predict to win this race?
I think Rob de Vries will be someone to watch, as he has proven to be a good peddler, and he has some slightly better machinery than what he's had in other series, so should be interesting to watch for sure, I think. As we are now in the race session, hopefully with a formation lap to come shortly. As we unfortunately have further troubles. So hopefully all of you watching has had a good week and a good weekend. Fortunately, winter closing in, darkness coming earlier to start every afternoon, evening. But hopefully everyone's time has been relatively well sorted out for the past week or so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the only thing I hate about this time of year is when it starts getting dark really early. But yeah, yeah, it won't be too. I was going to say it won't be too long, and someone will probably take me into a dark room and tie me up for saying it. But it won't be long. It won't be long until Christmas.
Yuck. No, no, it isn't. I sort of realized as I work in the educational system in Sweden that there is only 2 weeks after this one until the autumn holidays. And I think, oh dear, where did those? I think it's like 6 or 7 weeks we have. Like, where did those 5 or 6 weeks go?
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, absolutely. It seems to be that this year's absolutely flew by or flown by.
Semantics.
Yep.
Or like grammar or whatever one would call it, but so to get something up on screen here, we have Rob de Vries out on track. I noticed another driver, I think it might have been one of the team brothers, headed out on track. So it seems we'll be waiting for a few more minutes here. And just as I say that, it looks like the rule changes has finally taken place and we're into the race session indeed. So presumably we were waiting for one driver to rejoin. That's certainly one way to put it, Beal. Not sure I would put it that way, but I get the point. Alrighty, so now we have a formation lap. So Richard Wilkes will be starting from pole position for Hemmelgarn Racing. Second on the grid will be Grant Vidal for Craco Racing. Third will be Anders Nilsson for Vince Granatelli Racing. Fourth will be Vadim Turchuk for RCR Racing. And David Yates lines up fifth for Doug Shearson Racing. All of these drivers usually up there towards the front. Ray Woodall likewise for Newman Haas Racing in sixth to start the race. Jon Tim lines up seventh for Machinists Union Racing, with Juha Bos lining up eighth for Renault Racing. Rob de Vries in his new full-time ride at Gallus Racing will line up ninth for his first race for the team, with Oscar Tim lining up and rounding out the top 10 in the second of the Machinists Union Racing entries. Tim Hiller will line up 11th for NFW Racing, with David Saber 12th for Patrick Racing. Brun Chacon will start from 13th for Dick Simon Racing, with Jules Bouchard starting from 14th for Penske. Jason White in his new ride in Patrick Racing colours will start from 15th, with Francisco Amaral for Leadcard Racing starting from 16th. Alberto Quino in the number 8 Penske Racing car will start from 17th, with Mateus da Silva, his teammate, starting from 18th. And 19th will be the starting position for Mike Olson for Newman Teamworks, with Keir McKeels in the second of the Gallus Racing entries starting from 20th. Matthew Sebagnoni will start from 21st for Bettenhausen Motorsports, and rounding out the grid will be Luciano Roja in the second of the Dick Simon Racing entries. And this is one of the, I suppose, one of the tenser moments in the whole race as well, where you go around and you're trying to get some heat in the brakes, heat in the tires, try to not use too much fuel, and just trying to get the car up and ready for the start of the race.
Yeah, it's one of those moments where pretty much you want to check if everything's working, and it's just kind of what I do anyway is just try and take my mind off the start of the race, just to kind of like stop myself getting nervous. But this is the part of the race at the start where everyone's just kind of, I guess it's just one of those things. You get a bit nervous or a bit tense because you just don't know what to expect. But once the race gets underway and you get the first 3 or 4 laps out of the way, that's when you start to just relax.
Indeed. Noticed a bit of a lock-up back there, but I think everyone... Oh, not everyone. There's a wing out on track. Fortunately, it looks like there were some form of stack-up. I haven't been able to make out yet which driver lost a wing. It looks like it was somewhat further back in the field, so hopefully we'll know later on. But coming around to start the race now. Wilkes from pole position, Grant Riddall alongside him, Nelson Tachak, Yates Riddall, Tim Bos. And the broadcast assistant just joins us as well, as the green flag is out and we are racing. Oh, and look at that, the stack up at the front. Looks like Grant will be taking the lead here, and looks like Tachak is up to second already. Braking for turn 1, Wilkes up the inside. So Grant into the lead, Wilkes second, Tachak third, Yates fourth, both with a great start up to 5th, 6th position, Nilsson 5th now.
Yeah, don't be surprised if you see Grant using a bit of boost to try and get away from Richard and the rest of the pack behind him. But it looks like everyone's had a relatively clean start, but still we've got everyone's still close together, and as Richard Wilkes pulls up from behind, what's it go? Oh, 3 wide behind.
Ooh, trying to catch up. I'm just checking. Unfortunately, it was Saber who ran into trouble on the formation lap. So Wilkes still second. Ooh, a bit of a spin up of the wheels there, I think. In behind. As Nilsson and Yates and Bos are fighting. Nielsen trying to defend from Yakes at the moment, and Yakes a bit sideways. Du har varit ute i kil. Skönt. So through the kink for the first time. Oh, look at that, the four-wheel drifts for some, full-on drifts for others. This definitely shows if you got a car sorted or not.
Yeah, absolutely. This is probably one of the fastest corners around this Road America track, and you can, depending on probably with a full tank of fuel, you can't take it flat out, but when as the fuel burns off, you'll probably be able to go quicker and quicker through the kink. But it looks like everyone at the moment, as we come to the end of lap 1, is kept it relatively clean.
Quite so, as Lucy is laying on the keyboard. That's why we changed camera angles acutely there. Lucy, please. It looks like she made another change of some sort. What happened here?
Yeah, currently looking at Ray Riddell at the moment, down in 11th in the Nivenhash racing car, and just in front of him, I think it's Tim Hiller.
Somehow the screen looks strange for me. If the colors look off for you watching, please let me know in the chat. It looks somewhat strange on my screen, but it could just be on my end. And if that's the case, then all is good. If the screen changed in color and stuff, I will need to do a bit of tweaking. Oh, Oscar Tim up inside of Ray Riddle. Ooh, just about avoided a collision there.
There was a slight bit of contact there, but managed to thankfully.
Oh no, there's contact between Sebagnoni and Tim now.
And
Sebagnoni around.
Oh, is that the two teammates?
They look to be in similar cars, but no, I don't think they are teammates. That is Bettenhausen Motorsports for Sebagnoni and Machinists Union for Tim. So that's a bit of a unfortunate moment right there. As we can see here, at the top 7-8 positions, all running together. As we can see, Matheus da Silva in 8th, trying to catch up to the rest. I know he was a little bit behind, but catching up now. Look at this gaggle of cars. Holy moly. And Yakes up to 4th, past Nilsson, but Nilsson with a good run could take the position back.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like Nilsson might have the slipstream coming across the line, but I don't think he's going to be close enough.
No, looks like he doesn't quite have the straight line speed at the moment. More like Bors was catching up and putting Nilsson under pressure instead. So we have from first and downwards, we have Grant Riddle leading, Wilkes second, Tachak third, Yakes and Nilsson 4th, 5th. Then we have Bors in 6th, John Tim in 7th, under attack now I believe by Rob de Vries or vice versa. Rob de Vries in 8th and Matheus da Silva in 9th. Oh, as Wilkes is attacking Grant Riddle for the lead, and I think he took the lead away. He did. Wilkes up to first, Grant down to second, and now Grant on attack from Tachak as well. Oh, Tachak up the inside of Wilkes as well.
Yeah, it's all kicking off now, and we're only what is it, lap 3, so yeah, it's all kicking off for the lead now, and it looks like Taziak is about to. I thought he gained that position, but it looks like Grant holds on to second for now.
Indeed, and it looks like Rob de Vries made a slight error up at turn 3, because he has dropped 2 positions behind John Tim and behind Matheus da Silva, but still running up into the top 10 in 9th. Still in contact with this big group fighting for the lead. Wilkes with a gap now to Grant Riddle. Tachak 3rd. Yakes wide in 4th. Could open up for an opportunity for Nilsson maybe down at Canada corner. But no, he thinks better of it. And the gap suddenly disappeared down this straight. Oh, look at this. The next group coming up, that's Hille, Ray Riddle, Oscar Tim, Olsen, Equino, Amaral and Sebagnone in 16th at the moment, with Michiels in 17th. And then we also have Rocha, Chacon, Saber, White and Bouchard. But let's keep an eye on this leading group of 9 for now. Grant thinking about it down into the turn 1. Nothing's better off it than Jonatan under attack by Mateus da Silva now. And likewise in behind, Hiller gets passed by Ray Riddall down the front straight. Grant now attacking Wilkes for first. And Grant trying to go round outside down into turn 5. I don't think that'll work. But maybe the cutback will. Nope, does not happen. And Jonatan is slightly losing grip of balls at the moment, as he's having to look in the mirrors as well at Mateus da Silva.
Yeah, and looking at looking at Anders as well, still in 5th place, and it doesn't seem to be able to make any further progress out the field at the moment. Maybe just deciding to be sensible and just stay where he is at the moment, but not too far behind him. You've got the Belgium driver, Utah Boss, right behind him, starting to close down this pack.
Just double checking, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
So Lucy being a bit of a nuisance in the broadcast booth tonight, all over the keyboard. Thought I lost all contact for a moment there.
I'm still here, but
Yep, she is.
yeah, it's still Richard Wilkes leading the race at the moment, but it looks like Juha. Oh, I thought Juha was going to go for a move there on Anders into turn 1, but decides to back out of it.
It looked like Anders more or less ride them cowboys through there. All sliding and sideways as Olsen and Sebagnone. No, Sebagnone passing Francisco Amaral for 15th. Further back in the field, I noticed on the ticker, as Grant Riddall with a great run and possibly some boost down the back straight, goes up into the lead once again as Wilkes tries to break up the inside but decides against it and holds back. Inte varit hemma tillräckligt idag. Nej, är det? Right, so back on track. We still have then Grant now in the lead, Wilkes 2nd, Tachak 3rd, Yakes 4th, Nilsson 5th, Ball 6th, Tim 7th.
Yeah, it looks like back up at the front, Grant starting to slowly pull away from Richard. Wilkes behind him, so looks like Grant's maybe just got a slight edge on pace at the moment, but maybe just trying to use a bit of boost to pull away. But he needs to be careful of that boost button, because if you use too much boost, it uses up more fuel than you want to. So needs to be careful of that.
Indeed, Jonatan now making a move on Bors, so Tim up to 6th, See, outbreaks Bors, and Bors almost locks up and runs wide, but Matheus da Silva can't make anything of it. I wonder if da Silva and Rob de Vries is already feeling that, oh, we better take it a little bit easy here. We're way above fuel usage at the moment. Ray Riddle likewise a bit further back than I would have maybe expected, but he has a very thirsty engine in the form of the Chevrolet, so could be a contributing factor. Oscar Tim behind him in 11th, so the battle for 10th here. And then a bit of a gap back to Mike Olsen. Oh, who runs wide out into the gravelly. Queen almost follows him in sympathy and laughing past both of them, but Tim Hill up to 12th. Queen then up to 13th, and Olsen, unfortunately for himself, drops to 14th. Sebagnone 15th now, with Michiels in 16th, Francisco Amaral 17th, Saber in 18th, Chacon in 19th, Luciano Roja in 20th, Jason White in 21st, and I think Bouchard may have been involved in the formation lap loss of wing as well, down in 22nd at the moment. As back at the front, the gaps are opening up as fastest laps are being set at 2:00.4. Wow.
Yeah, that's sort of that's pretty much sort of like with a full tank of fuel as well. So that's absolutely crazy.
Oh, and Grant Riddle has just retired.
Oh no.
And he was right up there too. Oh
Yeah,
no. That's a disconnection for him.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder if that's a disconnection.
Oh, the Gremlins strike again. He has one really good race last time out at Mid-Ohio. And then straight back to properly bad luck. Aye. So that means now Wilkes in the lead, Tachak second, Yates third, Nilsson fourth, Jon Timmins fifth, Bors sixth, Matheus da Silva seventh, De Vries eighth, Ray Riddle in ninth, and Oscar Tim running out of top 10.
And we've got disconnection for Grant as well. I wonder if that will have Ray Riddle worried, because I believe Ray and Grant, I don't know if they do or not, but I think they live in the same house.
I am, to be honest, very unsure on that.
If they do live in the same house and use the same connection, if I was Ray, I would be very worried. But obviously, at this stage of the race, you don't want anything like that to like mess with your brain, mess with your mind, or make you unfocused.
Indeed, as Mike Olsen went hell for leather through the kink on the grass on the exit. Looked very scary, but he was able to hold it. In the Pepsi-sponsored Newman Teamworks car. Sebagnone and Kio Michiels getting closer together for a possible battle. Amaral dropping back a little bit. Saber up to 17th then. Chacon up to 18th. Roja 19th. Jason White into the top 20. Bouchard 21st. And unfortunately for us, in a way, I think the closest battle is between first and second here, with Tatchak and Wilkes, for now at least. As this is also one of the downsides of this particular track for especially IndyCar and karts. With the relatively high speed nature, you need a bit of downforce in the turns. Obviously difficult to follow a driver for a long period of time close behind. So it comes in bursts a little bit, the battles. As I noticed, De Vries and Da Silva, as Tatchak decides against going for a move, is battling for 7th and 8th. De Vries now ahead of Da Silva. Ooh, that is tight, but Da Silva up the inside towards Canada corner. And ooh, has to leave room on the exit. De Vries with a better exit because of a better line. Has the inside up here. And keeps a hold of 7th place with Da Silva down to 8th. As Vadim Tachak now in the lead with a 2:00, 1:59.9 for Anders Nilsson.
Yeah, that's absolutely unbelievable. And well, it's like Anders has a bit of a slide on the exit of turn 1 there. But yeah, that 1:59 with a 1:59 in race time is just that's crazy fast.
Very much so. So as we can see there, Tachak has taken the lead. Presumably happened up at the final turn or down the front straight. And Nelson closing in on Yates, and this quartet now running close together, with the rest dropping back about 4 seconds or so. Presumably with the immense pace of the quartet up at the front being a bit too much in terms of fuel for the others to keep up for now, which I can definitely understand.
Yeah, just looking throughout the field as well, it looks like everyone's pretty much starting to just spread out a little bit. So everyone's, I think, maybe just decide to stay where they are at the moment and just be careful with the fuel and just maybe lower the boost to save some fuel as well.
Indeed. Certainly looks like it, as one of the closest battles now on track, I reckon, would be between Hille and Olsen, as Vadim does another fast lap of 59.1. Oi, 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 oi. That is fireworks in terms of pace around here, this early in the race. As Rob De Vries has a bit of a moment there at the top of the hill, ahead of Harry Downs, and runs a little bit wider. Looks a little bit ragged at the moment. And Da Silva getting closer again. It does look like the Honda at the moment is a little bit more frugal at high speed than the Chevrolet. In that particular battle. And look at that, for sure Bouchard had to repair the car, but already being lapped a fifth into this race.
Yeah, that's a problem with pitting early around such a long track as Road Atlanta, not Road Atlanta, Road America, sorry.
There's a bit of a difference in terms of track length, it has to be said.
Yeah, it's good to say. I always get mixed up with the track names with Road Atlanta, with Road America and Road Atlanta. But yeah, it's the trouble with pitting early around the track such as Road America, and a length of this track. It's you it's so easy to be lapped and put a lap down at this early stage of the race.
Indeed, an amazing bit of trivia here. Fastest lap currently in the hands of Mike Olsen, down in 11th for Newman Teamworks.
Yeah, so I think I think Mike at the moment is not really under pressure from behind, or he's not really. Well, he's got a few cars in front of him. They're not too far ahead of him, so maybe just pushing a little bit to try and catch back up to them.
Indeed, but that deserves some accolades. We usually see the likes of especially Yakes, Tatjak, Grant Riddle, to some extent Anders Nilsson take the fastest lap in these races. But for Mike Olsen to take fastest lap for a little while, that is definitely no mean feat. That is very difficult to do, but very nicely done. And I reckon he's mostly right now trying to catch up, as you say, to the cars in front in the form of Oscar Tim. Who is about half that straight that he just entered ahead. And Sibagnoni, I think, may have had a moment or an off or a quick pit stop, because he is quite a bit behind Keo Michiels now, some 21 seconds, so I reckon that may very well be a quick splash or a very costly error. Oh, and closing in is Roja and White, so Jason is closing in on Luciano here, and Luciano wide at Hurry Downs. Possibly somewhat feeling the pressure of White getting closer, as up near towards the front I notice a change of position. Yakes ahead of Wilkes now, and Wilkes trying to fight back. That does not happen there. Both Vadim and David will be wanting to try and get as good a finish position as they can to gain more points on Coxon for the championship standings. Wilkes likewise wants to try and score some points. He's had a few unfortunate non-finishes, which obviously brings the total tally down. I reckon he is one high up finish away from getting into the top 5 in the championship standings. And Nilsson obviously also in the championship hunt, although a little bit further back. But he wants to score as many points as well to try and put himself in a better position towards the business end of the championship year. With 58.9 for Vadim, another fastest lap.
Yeah, absolutely. Vadim is not hanging around, and he's got that gap up to about 2.8 seconds now. So starting to increase that gap slowly to I was about to say Richard Wilkes, but it looks like David Jakes has took that position, second place.
And I do wonder, do you think we'll see something similar to what happened at Mid-Ohio last time out, where Grant was running a shorter stint, lower fuel, full attack mode race by some, such as Vadim and maybe even Yates, and a bit more of a steady run by, say, Wilkes and Nilsson? Or will they all be relatively on the same strategy here?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if someone decides to try and do something different with the strategy. Maybe pit early and try and get out of traffic and try to get some clear air and put some quick laps down. But I think a track such as Road America, I think you pretty much want to, just because of the length of it, you maybe want to try and go as long as possible. But I wouldn't be surprised if someone like, say, Anders Nielsen or even John Team try something different and maybe try pitting early.
That's definitely possible, and I notice another change of position. Rob de Vries now ahead of Juha Boos. And where is Mateus da Silva in all of this? Oh, it's all the way down in 16th. I wonder if Mateus has already pitted. Oh, that looks like he might even be in trouble, because he was running off the track on the straight there. With Mike Olsen in behind, so Mike Olsen may have pitted as well. So maybe early pit stops already being committed, because it doesn't look like there's any steering damage on Mateus' car, simply cold tires. O'Dearn wide off. Olsen, I think, will take the position here. He does. And that's definitely one of the more tricky parts of driving these beasts. When you come out of the pit stops, the tires are stone incredibly cold.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that means Rob de Vries up into 6th, David All up to 7th, Oscar Tim up to 8th, so Joa Boos drops to 9th. Oh, and Vadim Tachak has spun off! Down at the left-handed, going towards the carousel. Whatever happened here? Oh, looks very lazy on the spin. That looks like he just trying to enter a tiny bit too quickly, and the rear end just wouldn't have it. Very nice sporting rejoin there, though. Waited until there was a clear opening, and back down to 4th and 10 seconds behind the lead now for Vadim. That's not what he wanted for his charge in this race and a challenge on the championship. Oh, Simon yawning into the pits now. As Yates and Wilks continues around, as does Nilsson. Nilsson has dropped a second or so to the guys in front of him now. And Tachak pulling away again from Jon Team, but again down to 4th and some 6 seconds behind Nilsson. But Tachak has already gained almost 2 seconds since the spin in less than a lap. Wow. And Rob de Vries now under attack from Ray Riddall. Looks like Ray might be boosting there. Straight pass down the straight. De Vries trying to fight back around outside. But no, I don't think he has enough at the moment. Looking for fuel numbers rather than on-track position, I reckon.
Yeah, excuse me, it's quite possible, yeah.
As Caleb Keels has retired.
Yeah, I was about to say that Caleb Keels is retired as well, so I wonder if that's a disconnection as well.
Looks like it. That's a straight cut from track to pits. I reckon that's a disconnection or similar as well. Dear to me. Well, Mike Olsen has spun off. Unfortunately. Let's see what happened here.
Yeah, it was so unfortunate.
Final turn.
That's so unfortunate because Mike was starting to slowly get back through the field, but it looks like he might have just caught the grass on the exit.
Yeah, it was a little bit loose in the middle of the turn already, just a tiny bit offline in the dirt and muck. And then, obviously, as you say, over the curbing onto the grass, with the car still in an attack angle with a bit of throttle on, and it simply said, "Please no." as he does a very good job of rejoining safely, heading into the pits for new tires, presumably. Yes, unfortunately he is quite a bit down now in the field, but still running, which is nice to see, and the gap has closed back up again at the front, so very much fuel limited it looks like for these guys.
Yeah, pretty much. And the excuse me, as David Jakes is up into the lead now, so David is starting to get through the field, and Anders up into third now. So it looks like some of the people we saw up at the front there. I don't know. So I was just having a look to see where. That doesn't matter. I thought something happened, but yeah, I just saw when there was a change of lead that David Jakes took the lead, and then they waltzed up into second, and Nielsen in third. So yeah, I don't know if maybe some people are just deciding to take it easy and save some fuel, but still, it looks like at the moment it's settled down slightly.
It effectively looks like these three are running to a fuel number now, and I think the one firing heavy guns at the moment is Vadim, who is now only 5 seconds behind the lead, as Jakes is heading into the pits for his first stop of the race. Both Wilkes and Nilsson continues for another lap, and both of them having lapped Mateus da Silva, who pitted not long ago, like 3-4 laps ago.
Yeah, absolutely, and
Owen Tachak into the pits as well, as Jon Team is in behind as well and goes up the inside to head towards his pit stall. Oh, I wonder if Tachak is out of fuel and just coasting here. Definitely taking it easy.
Yeah, this was Tasiak as well, and it looks like I do wonder if he was out of fuel, or if he was close to being out of fuel. But let's say this is a bit early to be pitting unless he used up a lot more fuel than he expected, and they had to make an early stop.
When Jon Tim with a penalty, so there's a pit speed limit in play here. That's why that looks so slow. So Jon Tim with a drive-through. Jakes leaves in 6th, and Tachak a little bit further behind. About 7 seconds behind. Jakes leaves the pits in 7th. So that's why it looked like they were going so slow. Ray Riddle in the pits, Equino in the pits, Oscar Tim in the pits, Francisco Amaral heading into the pits. So it looks like 16 to 17, 18 laps is what the drivers will be getting out of the tanks tonight. As I notice, unfortunately, both Mike Olsen and Sebagnoni has both retired.
Yep. So yeah, it looks like Sebagnoni had an accident as well by the looks of it. So the retirements are slowly starting to creep in, and we're only on the lap 16, or halfway around lap 16.
Ooh, looks like Sebagnoni had an off up in the final sets of turns. Oh, Luciano Rocha in behind. Sebagnoni somewhat slow off the turns. Rocha looking up the insides. Oh! And Sebagnoni having to take it a bit careful through that left-hander. Rocha not, and unfortunately contact, and Sebagnoni crashed and out of the race. Aye.
And as the leader, the leader Anders Nielsen comes into the pits now, and Anders Nielsen was also coasting into the pits, but I think he was just taking it easy.
I think that there is a pit speed limit, so that's why. Oscar, Jon Tim received a penalty for speeding in the pits, so I reckon they are taking it easy through the pits to follow that rule. As Nilsson now leaves his pit stall, comfortably ahead of Wilkes by the looks of things. As flying past is Jon Tim, still to take a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pits. And Jakes on warm tires, right in behind Nilsson. This is presumably a no challenge for Jakes, simply up the inside, nice and easy, up into the effective lead of this race.
Yep, and it looks like David is pulling away already. So I think Anders, like you're talking about, is maybe just sticking to a fuel number.
Could very well be the case, as the effective situation right now is like on track. Jon Tim is the leader, but he has a drive-through penalty to still serve. So effective lead is Yakes, followed by Nilsson second, Wilkes in third, and Tachak in fourth. And Tachak has closed up considerably in these pit stops to Wilkes at least, but still a little bit behind Yakes and Nilsson. Rob de Vries, an effective 5th place in the race at the moment. Nicely done. Though that could still be an effective 6th, considering I don't think it's 30. I think it's less than 35 seconds to simply traverse the pits without stopping in them. So 6th place for Rob de Vries. 7th for Oscar Tim. 8th for Tim Hille. 9th for Little Al, Alberto Quino. And Joa Bos rounds out the top 10 at the moment, with Ray Riddle in 11th, Francisco Amaral in 12th, Mateus da Silva in 13th. So I wonder if Mateus is running with a somewhat damaged car, maybe. Looking a little bit careful. David Saber leaves the pits now in 14th. Jules Bouchard into the pits as well. Of course, he pitted on lap 1 for repairs, so he had just a tiny bit more fuel in the car. Brun Chacon will be 15th in a little bit. Rocha will probably be 16th in a little bit. Jason White 18th, and he is currently the final car running. As Yakes now laps David Saber. And Nilsson doing his best to keep up, with Tachak having passed Wilkes.
Yeah, just watching Anders myself at the moment. It looks like he's not. He doesn't seem to be. He doesn't seem to be pushing too much to try and keep up with with David. So I wonder if he's just not backing off completely or taking it easy, but maybe just trying to look after the car, because these cars, if you do try and if you over rev them or rev too high, for example, or get a gear shift wrong, these engines can blow up.
Definitely so. I noticed Jon Tim has served his drive-through, and he has indeed dropped, like I thought, to 5th place. So still top 5 for him. As Tachak now has to lap Saber. That looked precarious, but they both survive it. And then the next one will be Wilkes, who goes up the inside of the on the exit of Canada corner, and laps Saber as well. As we have a decent battle back here between Hille, Equino and Bose for 8th, 9th and 10th. As Bose is trying to run around outside at Carousel, surely not, he makes it! Wow! That's probably a bit more downforce on the car for him to be able to do that. And now Hille up for grabs. I think Hille is running a Cosworth engine in his car. Bose and I believe Equino as well, both with Chevrolet engines in the back of theirs.
Yeah, I was about to say it looked like a bit more downforce there. It looks like you has got a run on hill coming across up the hill to head over the start finish line, and yeah, looks like both of them are both evenly matched in a straight line.
Ooh, but Hille with more speed down the end of the straight, breaks up the inside at turn 1, gets back past up into 8th. And Equino, oh, there's a wheel out on track!
Oh, that was close to hitting that.
Oh, that's Rob de Vries! Oh, dearie me. Well, that's my call for who could... Oi! Ouch. So for Rob, that's he was just passed by Oscar, ran just a bit deep at turn 1 over the curbing, and the curbing and grass hooked him off the track and into the tyre wall on the outside, which then spat him into the infield wall as well. Aye, that's very unfortunate. Sorry for you, Rob. That was a great drive up until that point.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for him. He was having a great run and inside the top 10, and but yep, it's like I said earlier at the start of the broadcast. Road America, if you make a mistake, it can bite you, and unfortunately, Rob found that out.
Indeed. As the battle rages on between Hiller and Bose in the meantime for 7th and 8th. Owen Hiller a little bit wide on the exit of the carousel. This could be Bose's opportunity, as he is trying indeed. And Hiller just about holding on. I think Bose wanted the inside line there, but couldn't quite take it. And let's see what happens this time down the front straight. Looks like a similar thing again, where Hiller is probably running with slightly lower wings and hence getting a higher top speed at the end of the straight. Bose is probably running a little bit more wing because his engine can pull just a little bit more kph down the straight as a general touch, or like a general acceleration, and therefore he is faster up to a point down the straight, and then Hiller overtakes him again in terms of top speed.
Yeah, absolutely. UHA's car, like you say, it's got just slightly more power on a straight line, so they can afford to just run a little bit more downforce. But yeah, it's a great battle between these two, and also behind this battle as well, we've got it looks like is it Little Al and who else is it? Ray Riddell.
I think Ray just passed Little Al half a lap or so ago. And Ray looks to be wanting to get into the action here as well with his Chevrolet engined machine. As Aquino looks to be saying, nah, I'll just hold back a little bit now. This looks a little bit too scary for me.
Yeah. I was about to say he did drop off slightly, but I think it's more just hanging back in case anything happens, and it means he's probably got a little bit more time to react if anything does happen in front of him.
Indeed.
But still, this battle comes up to the final corner. It's still Hill in front of Boss, and I wonder if Boss might have a good run coming up the straight here. They've got a back marker in front of them, I believe.
Looks like it, yes. And look at that, Ray even faster down the straight, bit more boost maybe, and pulls straight past Boss and looks to trying to take Hiller as well, and he does. Two positions in one go, and now Hiller a little bit wide there. Oh! Sneaking up the inside, trying to get a run on Ray, but cut off Boss in the same move. That was scary. That could very well have ended in interlocked tires and off the road for both of them, as that is Chacon, the lap driver that they need to negotiate the way past as well. And Chacon very sportingly takes the wide line there and lets them past. Up at the front, it's still status quo. Some 6, 7, 8 seconds between the lead quartet. And positions as well remaining the same.
Yep, absolutely. Is riding on board of Tim at the moment, coming around the carousel, and you have closing right up as well. I wonder if excuse me. Oh, come on, Ryan, don't yawn on the broadcast. But it's come through the kink now, and I thought Yuha would try to keep it possibly flat or carry more speed, but he just ended up dropping back. As it's Bulls, is the silver just about turns into the path of Yuha, but luckily sees him at the last second.
Indeed, and look at that, the pull off Canada corner for Bors. That shows the difference, both in a little bit of line and the wings working, but also the power between the Cosworth and the Chevrolet.
And it looks like you have got that straight line speed, and they start to close up slightly, but as a pull across the line, he's not close up as much as I thought, and Tim goes slightly defensive, and as you are going to try and throw it a bit inside, I don't think he is, no he's not.
Oh, indeed. Bors lifted a little bit earlier, saving a bit more fuel at the end of the straight. So it looks like Bors needs Hiller to make a bit of a mistake down at the final turn to have another go at Hiller up towards turn 1. Let's just jump on board with Alberto Aquino's car as he is watching this battle. Bors still challenging Hiller. Oh no! Bors locked up! Bit of contact with Hiller's rear end. Both of them remains on track, but here comes Aquino trying to look up the inside of Bors. Oh, and he does it! Up the inside at the top of the hill. And it looks like, oh, he runs a bit wide, maybe a tiny bit of contact between him and Bors around outside and through the next fast right-hander. And Bors retains 9th place, Aquino stays in 10th. And a little bit of gap now for Hiller.
Yeah, it was like I was talking about, I decided to hang back and see if anything happened, and yes, a bit of contact between Tim and Yuha happened, and it allowed Little Al to try and take the opportunity and try and make a move, but he did get the move done, but he ended up running wide, just overrunning the corner slightly, and lost that place to Yuha again, and Yuha's pretty much on the case and trying to close that gap back down to Tim in front of him.
Ooh, and Aquino really late on the brakes heading into Canada corner. And this could be a bit of trouble for Bors, because he may have been running the slipstream there and saving some fuel and keeping up. I wonder if he has enough fuel and enough pace in the car on his own in a straight line to catch back up to Hiller, to be fair. Oh, and he runs onto the grass a little bit, and here comes Aquino down the straight instead. So Aquino really fast down the straight on his own. And straight past up into 9th.
Yeah, I wonder if that was boost assisted.
Could be. And Bouchard soldiering on up into 13th in this race now. Chacon currently 20th. Mateus da Silva looks to be pulling over in the Penske. He is indeed, so that's unfortunately retirement for Mateus. Luciano Rocha then up into 15th. And Jason White soon up into 16th. It looks like Jason is struggling a little bit with tires that tend to lock up a little bit there. Maybe a flat spot or two on them.
Yeah, it looks like we've had another retirement. Mateus da Silva has just retired with a DNF.
Yeah, simply parked the car. Don't know what caused it, but unfortunately he was having a good first stint, but towards the end of it, it's sort of started to go downhill, and from there it simply continued, I'm afraid. So let's have a look up towards the front. Again, it's remained more or less status quo. Yates leading, about 2 seconds ahead of Nielsen, who himself is about 2 seconds ahead of Tatjak, who himself is about 2 seconds ahead of Wilkes. As it looks like they are closing in on Jason White. Put him a further lap down. as he lets Yakes past at Canada corner. Then it's Nilsson's turn, leaves the inside open, going towards final turn. Nicely done, Jason.
And Anders has not managed to close that gap back down to Tim in front of him. So maybe Anders is maybe just being sensible here and just maybe just trying to maybe just conserve a bit of fuel and not use too much boost.
That could very well be the case for them indeed. So Rocha now is put a further lap down as well. Men tja, säger du det? Ja, och fy då. Regnar det ute, tjejen? Ja. Fy, så otrevligt. Ja. 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 Kom du, gumman. Kom du, tjejen. Inte? Okej. Då får du själv torka, gumman. Pardon me, Lucy has been out in the rain, so simply checking if she wants to have a bit of a drying before anything else, but all good. Situation remains the same up the front. Jon Tim now 40 seconds adrift in 5th. Oscar Tim, his brother, now up into 6th. Ray Riddall in 7th. Tim Hiller in 8th. Alberto Equino in 9th. Juha Bors in 10th. Francisco Amaral in 11th. David Saber in 12th. Jules Bouchard in 13th. Brun Chacon in 14th. And Jason White, currently final car running, in 15th. No, sorry, Luciano Rocha running as well. My apologies, so White has just passed Rocha. So the battle is on for 15th and 16th place. Well, at least it was a little while ago, but it looks like currently Jason is a little bit quicker than Luciano.
Yeah, there's not really much going on at the moment. Everyone's pretty much spread out at the moment, and we're only on the. What are we on at the moment? We're only just pretty much we're only on the lap 27.
So a little beyond halfway.
Yeah,
I think that would be called.
Yeah, I was about to say we're just about to. I think we've got 2 laps until the halfway mark. So yeah, yeah, This is the only thing with Road America that I don't like. I mean, it's a fun track to race around, but when you're doing a race around here, it just feels like an eternity.
A snail. Huh. Varför tar du med dig en snigel in, Lucy? That's the
I
first one.
guess I guess your cat brought in a snail to the house.
Yeah, was in her fur. That's the first. Huh. Well, forgive me for a moment. I will just need to bring that outside, so I'll be back in a little bit.
Okay. So yeah, at the moment in the race, the race is still being led by David Jakes, the Canadian driver, with Anders Nielsen from Sweden in second, 3.5 seconds behind, and then yeah, in third place, rounding out the top three is Vadim Tesiak from Germany. So, but apart from that, it seems to be that the races they calmed down a little bit and it's all spread out. So not really much going on at the moment. I think this is just a case of some drivers taking it easy and saving for some fuel and maybe just trying to make sure that they don't have to make another pit stop possibly, or try and do this race on one stop. Yeah, looking at Richard Wilkes at the moment, they currently in fourth and they coming up to lap a back marker by the looks of it. We've still got. They're just trying to see how many drivers have still got on track. Yeah, we've still got 16 drivers on track at the moment. So yeah, it's still good to see. Still good to see a good number of drivers out there on track at the moment, and yeah, it's been it was close in the early stages of the race and right until the pit stop. Sorry, but it seems to be everyone's just spread out now just because of the nature of the pit stops and just because some other drivers have had incidents, so hard to retire. But at the moment, the race is still being led by Anders Nielsen, who's got a 2.6 or 2.7 gap. 2.7 second gap to David Jakes in second, so it looks like the race for the win could be between the top three or even the top three or top four, but that seems to be about it at the moment.
So I am now back. Anything I missed?
Not really. It's all quiet at the moment. There's not really anything going on, and at the moment there's not really any battles going on. I think the closest battle is probably between Tim Hill and Tim Hill, Little Al, and I think you have Boss.
It's certainly still going on, and I noticed it was roughly 8/10 between Wilkes and Tachak, which I suppose is the other close battle at the moment on track. But this definitely looks the closest out of the bunch still, and it looks like Equino is indeed closing in on Hill at the moment. So it does look like if you can run with a slightly low wing, it looks like that is beneficial around this place, all in all. Let's jump on board with Tim, who may be heading into the pits this or the next lap by the looks of things. Oh, okay, that was the team calling him, but he has... looks at least like he said, nah, not quite yet. So that's that... Ooh, a car just materialized. That was Francisco Amaral. That looked very scary.
Yeah, I was about to say, I just caught that. I saw that on my viewing game, and yeah, that was a bit of a, that was a close call.
That is not good. That looked like quite a high ping for Francisco for a little bit there. Ooh, as Tim runs wide out of turn 1. As we're now on board towards the front of Equino's car, looking ahead at Tim's rear wing. I think based on the previous pit occasion, we're probably expecting most drivers to pit from, say, 2 laps from now and up until lap 39, lap 40. Depending on how far they want to stretch this stint and how far they can stretch it, and how much they want to try and push towards the end. So it looks like Tim picked up a little bit of pace here. Or maybe it's Equino in a bit of trouble. Looks like
that was a bit.
I wonder if he's fiddling with the pit menu, maybe.
Yeah, it looked like just the way he moved there, it looked like he was messing around with the pit menu possibly. But yeah, I was wondering where he was going there because he was very close to clipping the wall.
And that's all the invitation Johan needs. He'll be like, oh yes, please. I'm right here, let me take that position. I wouldn't mind at all, and here he comes.
Oh,
Equino,
what are you doing?
Equino in all heaps of trouble here. Oh dear.
Yeah, he's moving. Yeah, he keeps moving around. I don't know if he's having issues with yeah, that's very weird. I don't know if he's messing around with his pit menu or if he's got maybe something going on with his game, or maybe he's struggling with something like stuttering or lag.
Could be the case. I noticed Francisco has retired, possibly due to a disconnection, considering the high ping we saw just a moment ago for him. Oh, and look at that up towards the front. There's some position changes. All of a sudden, Nilsson in the lead, Wilkes in second, Yakes third, and Tachak fourth.
Yeah, so I wonder if Yeah, something happened, I believe, with Jake's and Jake's Wilkes and the Taziak.
Indeed, so
Looks like
Nilsson away back, so let's follow this. Let's follow this from Tajak's position, currently now third with Yakes in fourth. Wilkes looking up the inside, Yakes crossed up on the entrance to the final turn, lackluster exit with that then. Wilkes looking up the inside and blasting past. And then going down towards turn 1. No problem there. So Yakes drops behind Tajak then. Okay, so that must have happened far earlier then, because... Huh. Wonder whatever happened there, because Nilsson 8 seconds in the lead now, scampering away.
yeah, I was about to say that gap between first and second is increased dramatically. So I don't know if Wilkes is maybe, I don't know. I wonder if Wilkes is maybe fuel saving a little. That's as I say, that is Taziak goes into the pits as well. So does Jake's.
Yep, so this is probably the earliest they dare stop on to make it to the end on fuel. And this is their play. I wonder if the other play that the Nilsson and Wilkes will do is run to the tank is dry here and then pit. Look at that, the pit speed limit makes it look to go so incredibly slow. And they're probably hitting some 60 kph down the pit lane here. Oh, sorry, 100 kph, 160 mph. And yet that looks extremely mundane and slow compared to what it could have been. Oh, right, so... Yeah, that's very unfortunate, Matthews. So Matthews reinstalled the sim we're using not too long ago, and unfortunately the keys to change the boost pressure in the car he forgot to bind, so he could not change the boost pressure, and presumably then that effectively became a race of, okay, I can't really bear just tootling around any longer. That's very unfortunate, but Wilkes now into the pits, so the earliest he pits, and Nilsson into the pits as well. So let's see here, Tachak and Yakes making their way around the track. Let's see how close this will be when the pit stops has ended.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think just with the last set of pit stops, I think Anders and Richard will probably try and stretch this out as long as possible and try and get to maybe, I'll take a guess, maybe lap 35 or 36, maybe 37 at the latest, and then basically just try not take as much fuel.
Jonatan has pitted, Bors and Helle fighting hard. And now let's see here. Tachak coming around the final turn onto the front straight. Wilkes and Anders just now leaving the pit lane with their pit stalls. And look at that, the gap, 10 seconds to Nilsson, so Nilsson a master stroke in all of this. Wilkes likewise with a fairly substantial gap of 3.5, make that 3 seconds to Tachak, which is very decent indeed. And Yakes a further 3.5 seconds back as Tim Hiller now comes into pits, followed by Bose. So that should mean Jon up into 5th again, and Oscar presumably up into 6th. And I suppose here it'll be a question of let's check in on Equino and Ray Vidal, both fighting for position at the moment, and see how they come out of the pit stops for Hiller and Bose.
Yep, absolutely. And they looking at it a little while, and Ray Vidal, and it looks like Ray Vidal at the moment. I don't want to jinx it, Ray, but his correction seems to be holding up at the moment, and so Ray seems to be having when it comes to connecting the issues, he seems to be having better luck.
For sure. As another driver into the pits ahead of these guys. Let's see, where are they? They are 5 seconds ahead. They are just exiting the pit lane side by side, and side by side down towards the first corner. It's Ray and Equino, and Ray Ridall goes past. And all locked up and throwing up some smoke signals was Bose and Hiller. So cold tires for Bose and Hiller. Ray and Equino has done a lap or two on theirs. Let's see what happens down towards turn 5.
Yep, absolutely. As I head down to turn 5, and it looks like there's a little while getting close enough. No, he's not, but the battle in front of them is really close heading down to turn 5, and it looks like Boss has made the move on Hiller.
Yep, and Equino brakes just a tiny bit too late as it takes an evasive maneuver and drops back a car length or 2 on Ray. And it looks like towards the front of the field that Tachak is closing in on Wilkes. Let's follow this for another few turns and then we'll check in towards the front end of the field again. Looks like the battle down towards Canada corner and the kink will be Hiller versus Bose. Oh, and Hiller wide.
Yeah, so I was trying just a little bit too hard there. Maybe there was a bit of smoke there. So
I think that's a car ahead of them, a lapped car. When Ray almost under attack from Equino instead.
just about to come up to the end of lap 36. I wonder if any of the top three will make a pit stop now, or make the last pit stop.
I think honestly they've made their final pit stops, both of them, all of them.
Okay.
They pitted on lap 30, I think 3 and 34 respectively. I think they did like 17-18 laps on in the first stint, so it should be all good for them now, I reckon.
Oh yeah, this should be fine, I reckon. But they may have to do some slight fuel saving, I believe.
Could very well be. Looks like Yakes is doing fuel saving because he's 8 seconds adrift. So it looks like he is doing his fuel saving now. These guys might be doing it a little later. And Nilsson looks to be doing some fuel saving as well, because he's now only 3 seconds ahead, as he has to get around Saber, who's off wide a little bit. I suppose it's also a case of maybe where we've seen, especially in terms of for Coxon, bit slower early on in the stint, and then as the stint gets on, he gets quicker. Could be similar for Nilsson, for example, here. And maybe for Yakes as well. Though I reckon with his slow... Go on.
Sorry.
No, go on.
I was just going to say, I think they had another retirement as well. Jason White retired with a blown engine.
Oh no! Oh, and that's
What is your?
Vadimov, way off at Canada corner, dropping some 5 seconds to Wilkes. Hey, Tatchak, unfortunately, with some relatively minor mistakes that turn out to be quite costly in terms of lost time. So Jason White, as you mentioned, retired with a blown engine. Let's see if we can possibly catch where that happened. Looks like it unfortunately happened too long ago for us to be able to catch it on screen as such. But that means we're down to 14 runners in this race.
Yep. But yeah, it gets a. Yeah, it's been a good effort by the remaining drivers to get as far as this. As it looks like Little House trying to make a move on Ray Riddell, or they pulls out to try and maybe just unsettle him a little bit. But Ray keeps the position, but just in front of the Little Wow and Ray, they've got Yuha, and it looks like they're closing the gap back down to Tim Hill.
So this quartet taking up. Oh, Ray wide. I think that's Equino Parston. Yes, it is. So Ray with a bit of a tighten up the behind moment there at the kink. And Equino up to 9th, and as I was going to say, this quartet picking up when the leading quartet spreads out a little bit.
As Yuha comes across the line now, and not closing the gap down to Tim as much as I thought it would. It looks like Ray's trying to make a move into turn 1, or it looks like actually Little Owl's made a move into turn 1.
Nah, that was Ray trying to look up the inside of Equino, but Alberto very late on the brakes. Equino closely followed by Ray now, and Juha right up the gearbox of Tim coming to the exit of... Oh no, Tim.
Oh, it's
Tim?
Yeah, I was about to say something. Is Tim blowing his engine?
No, that looked like a strange situation. Ooh, I think I wonder if that was a screen freeze or something similar for Tim there. Bit of technical trouble.
Yeah, because I was watching him, and then basically all of a sudden his car jumped back.
Ooh, that's unfortunate for him, down to 10th, but at least he's still able to keep on running. So a screen freeze, give or take, is where the computer, the hardware, gets a bit overloaded, either the graphics card or occasionally the RAM memories, like right now in the moment memories get overloaded with information, and it needs a little bit of time just to catch up and get everything sorted. That's usually the most dangerous situation you can end up in, because you could very easily be stuck on track with the car fully solid in the middle of the track and someone could hit you and both races ended. This is the battle right now. Ray went up the inside at turn 5, Ball's trying to fight back at turn 6. Not able to make it happen through turn 7 and down towards turn 8. Down Hurry Downs and heading towards the carousel.
Yep, looking at the battle of excuse me, the battle between Little Al and Ray Riddell and you have Boss and coming round the carousel, and yeah, it's pretty much been a great battle to watch. Further back in the midfield between, well, basically these three drivers, and also Tim Hill, until Tim had his technical issue there, but it's come through the kink now, and yeah, it looks like you has just lost a little bit of the time to the cars in front of him. Maybe just doesn't feel confident going through the kink as quick, but still, it's been a great battle with them, and as Little Al runs wide on the exit of the Canada corner there, but manages to maintain a position. I think Yuha might just be probably waiting a few laps to try and make a move, as probably as I come across the line, we'll have around about 10 laps remaining.
And with 9 laps to go for the leaders, gap is down to below 1 second between first and second. So while that battle is great, let's just catch up on the leading duo for a moment here, see what happens.
And also, I think just for coming to into the closing stages of this race, I don't believe have we done the trivia question yet?
No, we haven't actually caught up on what the answer was, so just going to let the position tick past to see what's going on in behind, but I think it should be all right. Well, the battle is still on back there, but looks like Vidal is past Equino and Balls is still in behind. But let's have a quick look at the trivia question and finish that off. So, to remind you of what the question was, who holds the official fastest race lap record for Road America? Is it A. Alex Zanardi, B. Josef Newgarden, or C. Sebastian Bourdais? So, Ryan, what do you think?
I've been thinking about this question for a while, and I think I'm going to go for A. Alex Zanardi.
And I know BL is guessing A as well. And the correct answer is Alex Zanardi, with a absolutely blistering lap in 1998 of a 1:41.874. And that to consider with the difference of nowadays, like nowadays 87 here, they are running in the 40, I think the fastest lap we've seen is a 49.
Yep, and I think yeah, Barry Lynn said in the chat that C said A, C said A as well, Alex Zanardi.
So congratulations to both you, Ryan, and to BL for getting the trivia question correct. Ooh dear, and the leader just now running into traffic, Equino, trying to get out of the way, but Nilsson slowed down and Wilkes now right up his gearbox. With 7.5 laps to go, roughly.
Yep. As it stands at the moment, I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to jinx it yet, but it's been a great drive from Anders and also Richard as well. I think if it wasn't for Grant Riddell's etiquettes with his connection, I think it could have been a very close fight between the three of them. But still, got a good fight. Got a good fight going on up at the front for the lead between Anders and Richard Wilkes still.
Indeed. And with a bit... Oh, Wilkes wide at the final turn. Equino follows him in sympathy, but both of them able to continue on. And if it weren't for a bit of bad luck, bit of small mistakes, possibly fuel-related for Yakes right now, it could have been a 5-man fight for the lead as well. But for now it's Nilsson and Wilkes, and to be fair, everyone who is still able to continue running has done a great job, to say the least.
Yeah, I have to say, looking back through or looking further back, further back through the field, it's been a great drive from Oscar team. It's been a quiet race for him, but he's kept out of trouble and managed to get into the top 6 at the moment.
Indeed, and likewise for his brother and teammates. So both of them again working together, and both of them again sorting out a very good race car, and no troubles ahead. Looks like both of them will get a really good finish here.
Yep, and also it'll be a good 12 points for the team as well.
Indeed. I gotta say kudos to Bouchard for soldiering on, despite having to stop before the race had officially started effectively. Running in 11th and on 2 points for the championship. And Saber likewise, lackluster season so far, but in the points here. Chacon just outside the points, Rocha as well.
Yep, as I looking at Anders as well, coming through turn 1, and it looks like got a bit of a gap to Richard Wilkes in second place. He's got a couple of back markers ahead of him, which might be able to help him as he head into
Ooh, that was a misshift and a half. Richard Wilkes with the mother of all misshifts coming down the middle straight. Hopefully no major damage done, but that was quite substantial.
Yeah, I was about to say, I heard that engine revving the nuts off there, and I was like, oof, that's not good for your engine.
I suppose it's a case of trying to make use of the traffic, so going all out, but there is a limit to it. With a bit of a loose moment coming off Canada corner, trying to make use of lappings as well to keep a hold of Ray Riddell, as Anders looked like he forced his way up the inside of Ray at the final turn. Nilsson probably unhappy. I think he just got unlapped by Ray. it's a case of Ray is roughly as quick in most parts of the track as the leaders, and in a battle with Juha Boos. No, it was Juha Boos who unlapped himself. My apologies, misidentifying cars here. So, a bit of trouble for Anders. Obviously, battles between two different sets of cars here, and all of them on the same piece of track. And Boos going all out just in case there's a yellow flag, maybe to be on the lead lap when Ray isn't. But here comes Nilsson up the inside now at Canada corner. And looking behind, battle between Boos and Ray, and at the same time Wilkes trying to find a way around them. And Wilkes now, I think, finally able to put another A lap on them. And now not too far behind Nilsson again with 4 laps to go. Make that 5 laps to go. Let's jump on board with Nilsson, who is leading for Vince Granatelli Racing, looking back at the Hamilton Racing driver Richard Wilkes. And in behind, Ray Riddle takes 7th away from Boos. Boos trying to fight back. And up the inside that. All hands on deck, as it were. Boos going around outside back there. Oh, and still up the inside. I think he has the position now. He has, so Boos back up into 7th. Look at that, how much time they drop immediately when they battle each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I was about to say, I did notice there was a bit of time being dropped, dropped off there, and just shows if you keep scrapping away, you'll lose time. And yeah, Road America, if you start scrapping away in the wrong places, you'll just lose a ton of time.
With all of that, Vadim Tacek is only about 4 seconds adrift. So we can see him as the 4th car behind here. There he is, behind the battling duo of Riddle and Boos. So race ain't over yet. A little bit less than 4 laps to go. Oh, and Oscar Tim has retired! Oh no. Oh, that looks like an engine. Coming through the carousel. Yeah, and right at the where he would change gear, the engine dies. That's unfortunate. He was going for a 6th place finish, but unfortunately his engine cried no more. Oh, and Yakes with a blown engine as well!
Oh no, I just saw that as well.
Wow!
But that's a yeah, that's unfortunate for Jakes because he's one of the, as it stands, he's one of the championship contenders.
Oof. And that happened back at the second to last turn. Aye, 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 aye. That's another strenuous part for the engine, but that's highly unfortunate for him. So that's 2 engines in these last few laps here. Oh dear, oh dear. So what will these guys think when they've been going hell for leather as well for the race? Will they try to back off and just protect the first, second, third place that they are currently in? Or will they go a bit harder still? Certainly looks like Nielsen and Wilkes has just backed off a tiny bit here. But with that, obviously... Oh, Jon Tim with a blown engine as well, or a blown turbo! Oh dear, so the engine's finally starting to cry enough. Oh, and that happened towards the end of the straight down to Canada corner for Jon Tim. And then it finally fully let go after Canada corner. Aye, aye, aye. So quite a few engines right now. Let's see what happens to the rest. This will sort of be a case where Wilkes and Anders obviously wants to buffer to Tachak, but the buffer is 2 cars that are fighting for position. So what will the buffer cars in between do?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing with IndyCar racing in real life as well. Even if you are being lapped, you do not have to move out of the way. But obviously, obviously in this series, I believe that blue flags are applied, so you can't really hold up the leaders.
Not unnecessarily so, at least, but I mean, battling is battling, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, no, Tachak is still not free of them, but now he tries to go up the inside of Ray at least, and goes up the inside of Bors as well down to Canada corner. Bors trying to run around outside. I'm not sure he knows which car is trying to go past him here. Oh, there he goes. He finally lets Tachak pass, but Tachak loses a bit of time with that, unfortunately. But that's one of those where one car is battling another and a third car comes in. Well, which car is it I'm having beside me now? Look at that, immediately pulling in 1.5 seconds. Final lap it is as well, I think. Yes, it is. So Let me get to the flags very quickly here. Final lap it is, so Anders in the lead, Wilkes second. And Tachiak. Oh no, Tachiak off! Tachiak off!
Yeah, I was about to say, I thought I saw has he lost his rear wing?
No,
Can you
I
get
think
it at the wall? Yes, he can.
it's on, but it's a bit askew. Let's see here, coming up to the left-hander over the crest, and just goes a bit too quickly, turns the car in, and it just won't hold. Well, he definitely gave it its all to try and get up with the leading duo, but not enough there. It looks like Anders Nilsson, with just 3 turns left, will take the win here tonight. Because I don't think Wilkes is close enough.
Yeah, I have to say it's been a very good drive from Anders. He's been in control by pretty much in the second half of the race and under a bit of pressure from Wilkes, but he's kept his composure.
Indeed, and here he comes towards the start-finish line to take the win here for the Living Well / Provimi 200. Second place for Richard Wilkes, so points towards the championship for Nilsson and for Wilkes. And likewise with Tachiak. Unsure if that will be enough to take the lead in the championship, but it'll certainly put him right up next to Coxon in the standings. Ray Riddall has retired on the final lap. Tim Hiller will finish 4th in his one-off drive for NSW Racing. I think the team will be extremely happy with that. Alberto Quino, with a smoking engine coming to the finish. But I think he has enough speed here to get to the finish line. Yep, so that's Equino finishing 5th. I think that's his first top 5 finish this year in the Penske. Nicely driven. Juha Bors has been off the road, missing a rear wing, trying to drag the car to the finish for a 6th place finish at that. And I think he just needs to take it easy here, and he should be able to make that happen. In the meantime, classified as 7th will be Ray Riddall. Jus Bouchard finishes 8th, so very well deserved points for soldiering on. David Saber likewise finishing 9th. Bruno Chacon will finish 10th for 3 points. Luciano Rocha has finished 11th for 2 points. And that means David Yates, I believe, will still get at least 1 point towards the championship. Classified at 12th, though retired. Jon Tim will be 13th as retired. Tim Oscar also retired. All of these are retirements. Jason White, Francisco Amaral, Mateus da Silva, Rob de Vries, Matthew Sebagnoni, Mike Olsen, Kilmy Keels, and Grant Riddall was unfortunately our first retiree after just a couple of laps. So looks like Bors indeed was able to get the car across the finish line, and that is race over. So Anders Nilsson took the win.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it was a well-deserved one for Anders, and I think looking at the result, with Coxon not being here today for the second race in a row, I believe. I think that should, with Anders taking the win, that should put him in the championship lead, or close to being close to the championship lead. Probably, if he does take the lead in the championship, it'll be by 1 or 2 points, I think.
Anders will not be able to get that. He is now up to 98 points, so he is some 32 points adrift.
My bad.
But Vadim, he finished 3rd. That is 14 points. That'll put him 3 points behind Coxon for the championship. As we have 3 drivers, it looks like, joining us for a bit of a post-race chat.
User was moved to your channel.
I suppose first and foremost, congratulations, Anders, on what I think is your first win in the series. Second?
First, yes.
First, yes.
First, yes. and one of the hardest.
Yeah, that looked like a pretty long race. A lot of fuel saving, I'd assume, and looking after the engine and car to the best of your ability.
Yeah, one eye on the fuel and one eye on the pace, and yeah, it worked out. I was a bit worried in the end because Wilkes came fast, Tasha came fast, and I thought, my God, they have more fuel than me. So, but I stick to my guns, so to speak, nailing corners, and yeah, I got it home. Thank you. It was great race.
Yeah, we saw you were running fourth for a lot of the race, and then all of a sudden for us, because we were watching another battle, you were in first and with a gap. What happened?
I think Kashak and Jake's pitted a lap earlier than me. Yeah, they
Yeah.
did.
Yes, that's what happened.
So I think that's why. And when I got out of the pits, Jake's came up, caught me. I mean, he had hot tires, and so he overtook me. And I started to working my way back into him. And I don't know. I guess I had more better fuel consumption than him, so I overtook him after the long straight. Yeah, and then yeah, it was so easy to run over fuel.
It was.
And I suppose looking ahead, we have the Bosch Sparkplug Grand Prix at the Pennsylvania International Raceway, tri-oval, mile long. Back to oval racing. How do you rate your chances with that coming up, Anders?
None whatsoever.
Oh, come on.
No, no, it's yeah. I just gonna do it for fun. I have no higher hopes for ovals. It's
Eh,
yeah.
Is it Nazareth? It's Nazareth, right?
Yes, that would be
Yes,
Nazareth
it is.
indeed.
Well, that's a fun oval. It's gonna be fun, and it goes up and down even.
Okay. Yeah. I will try. I will try.
Well, thank you, Anders, and congratulations once again on the win.
Thank you.
Yep, and finishing in the second place was Richard Wilkes, and first of all, Richard, that was a good drive by you, and you were close to challenging Anders for the win, but this looked like Anders had just kept his composure and kept his cool to basically maintain that gap to you.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, while I was busy, you know, doing some chicken game with everybody else in the beginning, he was there, the sneaky one, taking care of his fuel and stuff. So when I was coming to the first pit stop, as soon as I crossed the line, I thought to myself, damn, I don't have enough fuel to do this lap quickly. Like I need to eke as much fuel as I can to be able to stop, to not run out of fuel before I reach the pit stop. So I lost quite a bit of time there. I even let him through because I couldn't do anything to keep him behind me. And that kind of sealed my fate a bit because after that I kept the pace. I went as fast as I could with the fuel I had, but I didn't have enough to mount a challenge on him. I was completely on the edge of fuel all the way to the end of the race. I finished with 1 liter in the tank. So it was anticlimactic, I suppose, for you guys watching. But yeah, that was the story of my race. I got, I don't know. In one hand, I slowed maybe those guys down a bit. I don't know in the beginning because I was keeping them up. Although I don't think they had the fuel to keep up in the end. But I for sure used too much fuel in my first stint. It was a hell of a race, though. And, I want to congratulate Anders. That was masterful performance there.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
but then looking ahead to the next round, let me see, let me have a quick look. The next round is at looking at say Pennsylvania International Raceway. So that's an old race. What's your expectations heading into the next round at Pennsylvania? And do you think you can try and take the one and try and beat the championship contenders, and we're talking about the championship as well. It looks like you're not really in contention looking at the standings. So,
Yeah, I'm
what's
not.
what's your mindset for the rest of the rest of the season? Are you just going to kind of like race the championship contenders like they're like basically like just like any other normal race, or are you going to have you got that mindset in your mind that you've got to remember there's people going for the championship and you don't want to mess it up for them, or is it just do your thing?
Well, I don't want to take them out of the race or something like that. That's for sure. In fact, today they were a lot more aggressive than me. They were the one taking the risks. I don't know. They should think about the points. I mean, Coxon was not racing today, so they should think about the points. No, I mean, I'm not going to take anybody out, that's for sure. At least I don't plan on anything close, but I'm going to race for the win. Like you said, I'm out of the championship contention totally. I'm here to win now, and I want to win the race. If I can, I can. If I not, of course, I'm not gonna do anything, any daredevil moves that could jeopardize any of the contenders, of course. But I treat that as my normal, behavior in the track. I don't want to put anybody out. Of course, doesn't matter if it's for first or for 10th. So, but yeah, but I'm gonna do my best to win.
Stuff. Well, again, congratulations on second place, Richard, and look forward to seeing you next time out at Pennsylvania.
Yeah, thank you. I'm tired of seeing the back of Anders every time I'm fighting for the win.
Do
Thank you
my
both,
best.
by the way. Thank you both for the broadcast.
Yeah, thank you guys.
A pleasure, and I believe the last driver we've got is Yuha Boss, who finished the race in the top 10, I believe, but minus a rear wing.
Yeah, minus a few places. Had a great fight with Ray in the end, and he boosted up. I missed a gear, and
Oof.
well, then the track wasn't wide enough. So a bit annoying, but looked to be a great battle. I think. Well, either of us would have had fourth, but Little Al went off with it. I think in the end.
I believe so, but yeah, it was a great
Yeah.
battle with you guys further back in the field with you, Lal, Ray, and I can't remember who else.
Tim Hiller
Yeah,
and
Tim Hall as well. Yeah,
Alberto were in it. Yeah,
they,
the thing is, once we got lapped, we all had fuel spare. The question is, how do you use it? And on one side, we couldn't overtake Anders because we'd have to do an extra lap and we'd be dead. But we could sit right behind him and boost up at will. That's why it went wrong as well. But well, we had fun doing it. Well, still got sixth out of it, which is not too bad. Better luck next time then.
yeah, looking ahead to next time as well. Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
how do you think you'll get on? Do you like racing on the ovals, or do you prefer to do the road courses?
I actually prefer the ovals. Oh, well, I have absolutely no idea how that track looks like. I can't remember. So it'll be a discovery.
And we saw some people having issues with their engines this afternoon or tonight. But basically with these cars as well. Do you prefer the old style cars, Indy cars, with the I think it's Hex Parton shifters you used in the 80s, or do you prefer like more modern stuff, like basically say like flappy paddles, or do you prefer the
No,
Hex
this is better. No,
because
8 shifters are nice. I'll keep it for that. Don't need flappy paddles.
Because yeah, we've saw some drivers struggling a little bit with say like up shifts or down shifts, like blowing their engines. Do you think that does it find it's more it makes the challenge of racing these cars much more
It
exciting?
does because I missed a few years when I was battling Ray just because I was watching him instead of paying attention. Yeah, it does add to the challenge and does to click. More fun, more engaging. Okay, sometimes it goes wrong, but we'll live with it.
Well,
Yeah, well,
again,
well,
go ahead, Richard.
No, I was just gonna say, I mean, well, because we're simulating cars with basically H pattern shifters, I suppose. I guess the possibility of missing a gear is there. I missed a gear at least 2 times during the race, and one of them was when I was very close to Anders, and that put me back a second. So it happens. It's part of it, I suppose. Yeah. So that's why I do it. That's why I'm explaining. Why I prefer to do it like that.
Hmm. Completely understandable. Right, so we've been going for quite a while, so
I'll just add one thing. The points are already updated for those interested.
fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the hard work with that, Ewan.
Welcome.
Right, so any final thoughts for you, Ryan, before we cap off the broadcast here tonight?
Yeah, I really enjoyed tonight's race at Road America. There was plenty of battles going on at the front and also in the mid pack as well. And yeah, just unfortunate for some drivers they having issues with disconnections and blowing engines, and but that's the challenge of these cars like the drivers we're talking about. And looking forward to the next race at Pennsylvania. And I do like my oval racing.
Sounds good, and indeed some very good battles. Despite fuel saving going on, some very close running as well, relative to the length of this track. And yeah, thank you to all our drivers for showing up tonight and putting on a good show. Quick reminder that next week at 19:45 CEST, the Castle
DRM.
Calden DRM race will start for Division 2, and after that, Division 1 will do a race. I reckon the broadcast starts around 19:30, if I were to guess. But until then, have a great week, everyone. Take care, and thank you as well to you, Ryan, for joining me in the booth for tonight. And take care of each other, and have a great week, everyone. Good night.